Well, there he goes. The former crypto CEO accused of a fraud of epic proportions is back in the United States and is now out of jail. A judge released him on $250 million bond with a lot of stipulations. He will live with his parents until his trial. His next date is January 3rd, court date. In moments, former federal prosecutor Andy McCarthy and the Wall Street Journal's James Freeman weigh in. But first to Fox Business Chief National Correspondent Connell McShane, who is live at the courthouse here in New York City. Hi, Connell.
Hey there, Martha. $250 million. We've never seen anything like it. What a number. His parents had to co-sign on the deal, put their house up as collateral to help secure it, which is fitting, I suppose, because Bankman-Fried has been ordered to live with his parents, awaiting trial at their home in California. Let's take a look at him as we saw him earlier today. Bankman-Fried exiting the courthouse here in Lower Manhattan. Really not much of an expression on his face. He was not asked to enter a plea today, and this is how not only it looked, but it sounded as SBF made his way to the car.
Back up, back up, back up, back up. Get out of my car!
Sam, what do you say to your investors who've lost so much?
Gotta let him out. Gotta let him out. Not coming out. Let him out. Let him out. Not our car. Let him out.
To his investors, but clearly not interested in taking questions. Bankman-Fried, when he was in the courtroom earlier today, was just sitting right in between two of his lawyers, listening to the prosecutor call his bail deal the largest ever pretrial bond. It requires him to surrender his passport and also undergo regular mental health treatment and evaluation. Really, the only time he spoke today at all was when the judge asked him if he understood the conditions of his release. Yes, I do, he said. The other condition he needs to understand now is that two former colleagues are ready to testify against him. Caroline Ellison is one of them, former head of Alameda Research. That's the trading firm closely connected to FTX. She pleaded guilty on 7 counts, while the FTX co-founder Gary Wang pleaded guilty on 4 counts. Both of them are now cooperating with prosecutors. So for now, here's this 30-year-old, Sam Bankman-Fried, months ago heading up a company that was said to be valued at $32 billion, himself a billionaire several times over, headed to his parents' home in California to await trial on charges that could send him to jail for a very long time. Martha?
Wow, it's quite a story. Thank you very much, Connell. Let's bring in Andy McCarthy, former federal prosecutor and Fox News contributor, and James Freeman, assistant editor of the Wall Street Journal's editorial page. Gentlemen, great to have both of you with us. You've both been writing a lot about this. Andy, let me start with you. The cooperation of Caroline Ellison and Gary Wang, how significant is that in this case which will be the case against Sam Bankman-Fried?
Well, it's highly significant for a couple of reasons, Martha. One, of course, the Southern District of New York, my old stomping grounds, got both of these accomplices or alleged accomplices to plead guilty to the same conspiracy charges that SBF is charged with. So that's always a problem for somebody at trial, that people have pled guilty to the same thing that he's charged with. The other thing I think is interesting about it is, there's pretty interesting legal questions about whether the securities laws and the commodities laws apply to cryptocurrency. So I thought it was telling that the Southern District forced the two accomplices or alleged accomplices to plead guilty to the securities fraud conspiracy count and the commodities fraud conspiracy count, because they're obviously trying to lay the groundwork that the federal agencies obviously have jurisdiction over those charges.
Yeah, he had a cushier stay in the Bahamas than we thought. We heard it was such a horrific prison. He had air conditioning, cable TV, a personal cot, his own toilet, running water, vegan food options. James, what do you think about all this today?
Yeah, I think some people might wonder why he didn't fight his extradition. He's entitled to the presumption of innocence, but it's possible that he thought drawing this out for as long as he could wasn't necessarily going to change the result. As Andy mentioned, the fact that you've got criminal fraud pleas by his close associates, these are people right with him at the heart of the organization, Alameda, the trading firm, and then FTX, the cryptocurrency exchange. So he'll have his day in court, but The fact that you've already had a series of fraud convictions, and the bar, of course, is lower with the regulators, the SEC and the CFTC, bringing civil suits. So, yeah, I would think it would be hard for him to be optimistic.
Yeah, it looks like a very, very tricky situation for him. Andy, one more thought on this, and then I want to ask James a quick question about another piece that he wrote. You know, he's all lawyered up, obviously. I mean, is there any hope for any leniency for him in this case, do you think?
Well, you know, obviously, Martha, the two accomplices quickly got in the door, pled guilty, and struck cooperation agreements. So to the extent that leniency is possible, it would be in his interest to get in and settle the case quickly. Yeah. At the same time, you know, I looked before we came on, Bernie Madoff was sentenced to 150 years. Now, his fraud was bigger than this one, but we're still talking in the billions of dollars. So he's got a lot of exposure.
Extraordinary. James, you wrote a couple of pieces this week on wind energy, which is something that we've been digging into. We've done a number of podcasts on this topic. And I want to actually quote from a piece that was in the Boston Herald, which I think kind of nails what is being discussed here, because there are wind farm plans for the entire Atlantic Ocean, basically, all up and down the coast. Those areas have been leased for wind farms for green energy. But now there's a lot of pushback to these programs. And this one's from the Boston Herald. Whales on the losing side of wind energy. Environmentalists want to crack down on the Maine lobster industry in the name of protecting endangered whales, but they turn a blind eye to the greater threat to whales from proposed offshore wind farms. The irony is almost as delicious as the lobster dinners at stake. Tell us about this briefly, and we'll dig in as we go forward here.
Yeah, and kudos on all your work on this. I think it's great that you've been pointing out that, first of all, there's a lot of CO2 emission when you create these massive wind farms. You've got to create the concrete and bring it out to sea and then erect these massive virtue signals off the ocean floor that go up above the water, and you have the big turbines, which of course a lot of those materials are created in China and they burn a lot of CO2 making them. But we're also seeing this whale issue where that sound, that the whoomp 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 as the turbines go around on a big wind project, it's extremely destructive to whales. It also, when you create this network of wind farms offshore, you really disrupt their habitat. So on top of it all, just to make the sort of environmental economic madness of this picture complete, whales are also a carbon sink. They absorb a lot of carbon. They support phytoplankton, which also munch a lot of carbon. It's
extraordinary. And, you know,
yeah, terrible.
We got to leave it there. James, thank you very much. We grew up with the Sierra Club. Thanks. They're nowhere on this. And Save the Whales. Thanks, you guys. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.